One, two, three, four, five, Big Gun, keep my favorite.
What's up, nerds and nerdettes and wee little nerdlings all? It's your buddy Johnny G for Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming.
My number 5 favorite retro board game by Restoration Games, Fireball Island, Curse of Volcar. Now, first I just gotta say, I say this whenever it's needed, I absolutely adore 3D components to a board game, especially environmental 3D tokens, terrain elements, if you will. And with this giant volcano in the middle, which actually serves a purpose, I love this. I love watching it. I love interacting with this board game piece. And one of the things you interact with this piece about is another thing that I like about this game, and that's the marble madness. No, not the 80s arcade game. No, just the absolute madness with marbles once the fireballs, or if you have the extra expansions, the snakes, or whatever the marbles are supposed to represent, the different colored marbles, come crashing and tearing down through the mountainside of the volcano across the game board. The chaos that it inflicts, knocking down bridges and heroes, your characters alike. That is so much fun, I think. This is obviously a great game for kids and families to play. You're looking for something that's good, that's fast to learn. Might not be the easiest setup, the fastest setup in the world. You may want to do that before the little ones get there, but this is going to be, nonetheless, a good, fun, family-style game. This is also what I would call a buildable system. And what I mean by that is there is a handful of expansions out that you can get to improve your game, to make it a little bit deeper. Everything from bees and snakes expansion to an entire Cutlass galleon ship that has been crashed nearby on the island. So it expands things, it builds upon this game, making it bigger, larger than it potentially is to begin with. Overall, this game is fairly simple to play, as I said, so I think that this is a great choice for family fun games, and that is why it is on my list, although in Space 5, but it is on my list for my 5 favorite retro games. 4. My number 4 favorite retro board game by Wizards of the Coast, Dungeon. Now, this is both a great family game, but I find it also be a great gateway game for young children. For any kid that you want to introduce to the concept of Dungeons and Dragons in an easy format, this board game is exactly what you're looking for. The components are simple, the rules are easy, you get this game out of the box on the table and literally playing in minutes. Now, each of the characters that you can choose has a male and female version, so it is open to diversity as far as an even number of the sexes go in this game. So that's cool. Now, there's something about this game that I like. It can be a little dangerous, and that's actually one of the reasons why I like it. And this is sort of an open board. You yourself get to decide what level you want to play at. What I mean is, the board itself is divided into different levels of toughness, of strategy, so to speak. And you start off at the lowest level. It doesn't mean that you have to build up from level 1 to, like, let's say level 5 or 6. No, you can walk right over there if you think you can handle something from there, because that is going to be the better treasure. So that idea that the board, the levels are opened up and you can go anywhere at any time, you don't have to level up to get to a new level, love that. This definitely captures the essence of the feeling of Dungeons and Dragons. Of course, you're not going to be dealing with RPG issues, you're not going to be leveling up, but as far as an introduction game to younger children that have not had the experience of playing any other D&D game, yeah, I got to go back to what I said before, because I really think it means a lot that this game feels like playing D&D. It's a great introduction to it. You know, like I said, minus the books, minus the setup and some of the RPG aspects, this, stripped down to its core, kind of really is Dungeons and Dragons, and it feels exactly like it. You know, and another thing to consider, not just me when I say, but consider the fact that since the 70s, this game has constantly been in publication. This game does have a fan base, it has a history. The popularity of this is guaranteed. Otherwise, they wouldn't be making new editions every few years. And the editions, the newest edition compared to the oldest edition, plays exactly the same as far as I can tell. It's really an update of concept and components, I think, more than anything else. Which again shows the lasting power, the popularity of this cult classic retro board game. And that is why Dungeon is number 4 on my list. My number 3 favorite retro board game. Star Wars Escape Death Star. This game by Kenner has been with me since childhood in one form or another. I now have the updated version, which comes with a cool action figure. One of Grand Moff Tarkin. He was my favorite character when the movie first came out. I was really upset that he didn't abandon the Death Star. Ah, well. But this game, you do get to relive one of the greatest moments in the original Star Wars movie history. That escape, well, as the title says, from Death Star. Now, each player, I like this. Each player has 2 standees that you are in control of. And each standee itself represents 2 characters. One of Luke and Leia, and the other of Han and Chewie. And you have to maneuver both of your standees through the Death Star, through the tricks, the traps, avoiding Darth Vader, maybe getting a little luck and a little hope from Obi-Wan Kenobi now and then, and eventually you'll make it to the Millennium Falcon, and then fight your way back through space, by TIE fighters, left and right all around you, back to the Rebel base. Oh, love this! Now this title also is a great family game, and in general, I would say it's a great gateway game. It's a great little fun gateway game to the family-style games, as well as, I guess also, as well as the idea of playing a board game version of Star Wars. Oh, so awesome! The rules are so damn simple. It's in a pamphlet. It practically could have been on the back of the game box itself, inside the lid like they did in the old days. I think that's where it was in the original one. No, maybe not. But they still could have, because it's so rules light. Spin, move, draw a card when you have to. That's pretty much it. And it's going to guarantee you some time of fun. It's a great family game. If you're a fan of Star Wars, this game, I think, is definitely worth trying and playing if you haven't already. And that's why it's number 3 on my list. My number 2 favorite retro board game. By TSR, Knights of Camelot. This goes back to when TSR's early days, when they weren't just RPGs, when they were expanding out to different board game concepts. And this was one that grabbed me by the throat. If you love the Camelot Arthurian mythologies, man, this game is made for you. This incorporates almost all of the King Arthur concepts and myths, as well as just a lot of general medieval myths and concepts too, that aren't necessarily tied to Arthur, but are definitely tied to that time period. You know, and speaking of retro games, this is really retro, because this has a throwback to a lot of the older style, 50s, 60s style of tabletop wargaming. And the fact that, what I mean by that is, this is dominated by charts. pretty much everything you do is a chart in and of itself, which will lead you to another chart and sometimes even a third chart, depending on your roles. Following your actions of what happens, where it happens, how it happens, all dominated by the role and interpretation of that role on a chart. I love this throwback feeling. It feels fun and right. And it definitely does make the game unbelievably unpredictable. The replayability in this is out the window. This game with the charts, with the possibilities of things going right, things going wrong, I can't see you ever playing the same game twice, no matter how much you play this title. Oh, I love the fact that it's not easy. The concept of trying to gain reputation, that Arthur's going to recognize you and make you a Knight of the Round Table, and all the crazy ass stuff that goes on during that, encountering mad knights, or just evil knights sometimes, dwarves, wizards, dragons, and giants. This game has everything believable and unbelievable by our standards. Basically anything that they believed during the Middle Ages, it's possible it might pop up in this game. The unpredictability, the replayability, the concept of this King Arthur game, this is wildly fantastic. And I really wish that this game was lovingly redesigned and republished and reissued. This is a great way to introduce somebody to Arthurian myths. And if you're a fan of Arthurian myths and the whole cycle, the Holy Grail cycle, the Green Knight, all of these tales, then this is the game that you've been looking for. Yeah, TSR's Knights of Camelot. That's why it's number 2 on my list. My number 1 favorite retro game to play. By Hasbro, and probably no surprise to my regulars, it's Hero Quest. Doesn't matter whether it's the new Hero Quest or the old, because the new is the old just reissued. Yes, they're starting to roll out some new material for it, unseen before, but still at its core, if you've played the original, you've played the new one. If you've played the new one, you've played the original. The idea of taking a dungeon delve D&D style concept, stripping it down to its barest bones, and throwing a 4-person team into a dungeon is absolutely fun. It is off the hook, out the window. It is redlining how much fun this game actually is. I could play this game forever. It seems like I have been, going from one expansion to the next, keeping it going, keeping this alive. This is one of the longest running campaigns, continuous with the same exact characters that I've had the pleasure of playing for quite some time, and I hope it continues. Everything about this game hits all the marks for me, especially with the app, which isn't needed to play, but if you have it, it is going to turn the game into a soloable event. The app will run you through all of the adventures, all of the expansions. You can go from start to finish and do the entire thing solo if you feel like it or you have to. If you're looking for one of arguably the greatest fantasy game dungeon delves ever published, and this is not only for me, but it's for you as well. And that's why Hero Quest is my number 1 favorite retro game thus far of all time. Thank you for joining me for this list. I'm your buddy Big John NG with Two Gun Picture presents Legendary Gaming, and I am out of here.